The crowd grows still. The woman turns to go, her robe trailing behind her like the shedding of an old life. And for a long moment, no one moves. The marketplace that buzzed only minutes ago, the same one that swelled with noise and need and pushing and reaching, now holds its breath. People stand in stillness, not because they understand what just happened, but because they feel it. The weight of something holy, the hush of something sacred. Even the air has changed. You can feel it brushing gently across your skin, not as wind, but as reverence. The woman walks slowly, not hiding, not slipping away, but passing through the very crowd that once never saw her. And now they part for her. Not out of obligation, but awe. It's not the kind of awe that shouts or demands attention. It's the kind that whispers, "We just saw heaven touch the earth." You see people glance at one another, as if asking, "Did you feel that too?" A mother holds her child tighter. A merchant lowers his head, hand on his chest. Even the disciples, so often caught between understanding and wonder, stand still, eyes following her as she moves farther away. She doesn't look back. She doesn't need to. Her healing is not behind her. It is within her. Jesus remains in place for a moment, his hand now resting by his side. His eyes follow her path, not to monitor her steps, but to honor them. You can tell, he's smiling inside. Because this stillness, this hush, is not the result of power displayed. It's the result of love revealed. One woman, one touch, and now a crowd stilled, not by command, but by grace. You wonder what they're thinking. Some may be confused, some may be convicted, but many are beginning to believe. Because they just watched something impossible unfold without thunder or spectacle. It came in silence, in faith, in a trembling reach toward mercy. You glance to your left. A boy stares, eyes wide, clutching his father's hand. To your right, an elder sits back slowly onto a bench, whispering a prayer you can't quite hear. You feel your own chest loosen. Because this story, it doesn't just belong to her. It belongs to all of us. Every one of us who has ever carried something too long. Every one of us who's ever felt unseen. Every one of us who's ever dared to hope again after the world told us not to. You glance at Jesus again. He begins to walk. Slowly, quietly, not in haste, not in pride. As if nothing extraordinary just happened. But you know, everything changed. And still the crowd stands, listening to the silence he left behind. Because silence can speak. It can tell a better story than noise. And right now, it speaks of a woman made whole, of a crowd reminded, of a Savior who stops. What would you have done standing in that crowd? Would you have reached too? Would you have stepped back? Would you have dared to believe that such a moment was for you? You're still standing here. The dust is settling. The hush lingers. And inside your heart, a question rises. If he did it for her, could he do it for me too? A new beginning. The crowd begins to stir again, slowly, as if waking from a sacred dream. Some return to their baskets, their errands, their travel. Others linger, quiet, marked. The marketplace sounds begin to hum once more, but the tone has changed. There is gentleness in it now, a softness, as if the entire place has been touched by mercy. But you keep your eyes on her. The woman. She walks through the narrow streets now, not hunched, not hidden, not with her veil pulled low. She walks with peace, a kind of peace that doesn't always show in posture, but in presence. Each step is deliberate, but not heavy. She no longer carries her suffering. She carries her story. There is a difference, because now it belongs to her, not to her pain. You watch her pause at a small fountain near the city wall, the same one she passed earlier on her way to find him. She places her hands beneath the water, cool and clear, and splashes it gently on her face. The drops fall like tears, but they aren't from sorrow. They are cleansing, releasing. She looks around, not nervously, not guiltily, but freely. As if for the first time, she realizes she's not invisible. She's not unclean. She's not broken. She's not the woman who doesn't belong. She's the woman who believed and was made whole. She touches her own arm lightly, as if reminding herself that this body, her body, is still hers. But now, without pain. She smiles. It's small, private, but radiant, like light through olive leaves. You follow her path through the outer village, where fig trees lean over stone fences and birds perch along the rooftops. Familiar faces see her, and their brows furrow, not in judgment, but in recognition. They see it. Something has changed. She meets their eyes now, something she hasn't done in years. She doesn't explain. She doesn't need to. She simply nods, as if to say, I am no longer who I was, and they sense it. You feel your own heart swell at the sight of it, because healing isn't just about what leaves, it's about what begins. And this moment is the beginning of something entirely new. A life that's not ruled by pain. A soul no longer. If you let healing in, if you stepped out from hiding, if you believed that wholeness wasn't just possible, but promised, she walks inside now, her home no longer a shelter from the world, but a sanctuary of peace. You stand in the quiet street and feel it too. Not an ending, a beginning. And every beginning starts with a step. She took hers, and now it's your turn. The disciples remember. The road stretches out once more. Jesus walks ahead now, sandals brushing the dust, his robe swaying gently with every step. The crowd has dispersed, but his disciples remain close, still quiet, still turning over the moment in their minds. You walk beside them, and you can feel it too. Something has shifted. Not in the sky, not in the ground, but in the space between faith and understanding. One of them speaks, softly, as if not to disturb the holiness still hanging in the air. Did you see how she touched him? Another nods. She didn't even speak. She just reached. A third adds, and he stopped, just for her. They're piecing it together now, not just what happened, but why it mattered. You can almost hear their thoughts. So many people were pressing in. So many brushed against him. But this was different. Because she didn't come to see him, she came to be changed by him. And that made all the difference. Jesus continues walking, calm as ever, the same pace, the same presence. But the disciples, something in them is awakening. Because now, faith is no longer just what they've been taught. It's what they've seen. You hear one of them repeat his words, quietly. Daughter, your faith has healed you. And that one word, daughter, hangs in the air like incense. They'd heard him teach in temples. They'd watched him calm storms. But this was something new. A woman, hidden by the world, lifted by one word. A miracle drawn not by proximity, but by belief. And now the disciples begin to see. Faith isn't loud. It doesn't need to be perfect.
It doesn't need to come with the right words or the right status. It simply needs to reach. You feel your own heart shift with that truth, because maybe they needed to see this as much as she needed to be healed. Maybe you did too. Jesus slows near a hillside, pausing to drink from a leather flask. He looks out over the land. Quiet olive groves in the distance, pale wildflowers brushing in the breeze. The disciples gather around, but no one speaks for a moment. You sense their stillness is not just physical, it's inward, settling, reflecting. One of them, younger than the rest, finally breaks the silence. She believed in the hem of his robe. Another responds, and he met her there. They nod, and you do too, because now they understand. He doesn't just respond to bold cries or dramatic gestures. He responds to faith, however quiet, however small. Even a touch from behind, even a heart too weary to speak. You watch them as they continue walking, dust rising behind their feet. They won't forget her. None of them will. Because what they saw today will stay in their memory, long after the miracles of the crowds. They saw what faith feels like, what it looks like in the hands of someone who's been broken and
The lesson in the quiet touch. Night has come. The road is behind you now, and the stars have taken their places in the quiet sky. Olive trees sway gently, their leaves whispering like old prayers. A fire crackles in the distance, warm and low, its glow casting soft gold across the stone walls nearby. You sit beneath one of the trees, the bark solid against your back, the memory of the day resting gently in your chest. She touched his robe. That's how it began. And yet, it was never really about the fabric. It was about the faith behind the reach. You close your eyes and remember her, not just what she did, but what she became. Not just healed, but seen, loved, restored. The hem was only the beginning. Because what really touched her was not the thread in his garment, but the mercy that filled it. You think of your own quiet reaches, the whispered prayers in the dark, the silent tears you never spoke aloud, the moments when your voice felt too small, too tired, too unworthy to rise. And yet, maybe those were the moments he felt most. Maybe the faith that lives in silence speaks louder than you know. Because she didn't ask. She didn't demand. She didn't even speak. She just believed. And when her fingertips brushed his robe, her story was no longer about suffering. It became about sacred courage. The courage to come forward, to trust, to say yes to healing, even when fear still whispered, "You don't belong." But love answered louder, "You are mine." You breathe in slowly. That same love surrounds you now. Not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily, unmoving, always near. You imagine his eyes, soft with knowing, his voice, gentle with invitation, his hand always reaching back for yours. And you begin to wonder, what if healing begins not in being strong, but in being willing? Willing to reach, willing to trust, willing to come forward, even if your knees still tremble. She reached, and he stopped. She feared, and he named her. She came in silence, and left with peace. You feel it now, wrapping around you like a cloak in the quiet. Peace, not because life is perfect, but because love is present. The crowd has gone, the road is still, but her story lives on, in you, in every soul who has ever dared to hope again after years of pain. Because He still walks, He still listens, He still stops, even for the quietest touch, even for you.
Now the fire is only embers. The night is full of hush, and her story has found its rest in you. You can still see the hem of His robe in your mind's eye, simple, dust-covered, trailing behind the steps of love. That's where it happened. That's where her whole world changed. And it never needed an audience. Only faith. Only a heart ready to believe, even if it trembled, even if it whispered, even if it knelt in the background. You've walked with her now. You've felt her pain, her longing, her courage. And maybe, somewhere deep inside, part of her story is your own. Maybe you've waited years for something to change. Maybe your voice has grown quiet. Maybe all you have left is a reach. If so, let this night remind you, that's enough. You are not forgotten. You are not too far gone. You are not invisible. You are seen. And the same Jesus who turned to her still turns toward you, still stops, still calls, still speaks peace. So breathe deeply now. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw release. Let your spirit settle. You've walked through pain. You've touched the edge of hope. And now you can rest in it. Because faith doesn't always look like boldness. Sometimes it looks like surrender. Sometimes it looks like sleep. So let go. Sink into the stillness. You are safe. You are held. You are so very deeply loved. And now, let the quiet carry you. Let the warmth of His presence wrap around you like a soft blanket of mercy. Let the story fade, like candlelight.